I got into muds in high school, but I found it such a insane waste of time. Once I realized what it was, I was like, okay, this is just like a text RPG that you can easily drop tons of time on. But it was interesting, but it was one of those things where I was like, yeah, nah. Even as a high school student, I was like, can't be spending too much time on this because it can easily go get absorbing, I guess. Yeah.
There was just a little bit more of that hackers utopia kind of existing in the 90s internet. Yeah. Like it was a little bit more like what it initially was supposed to be before.
Yeah. Social media
it went rotten.
Killed it. Yeah.
Social media is the big killer, but I think there was other ones before that maybe. But yeah, social media was probably
social media definitely killed
YouTube.
It. Yeah. Remember when like Facebook first came out and like
no,
I joined it and I remember thinking like this is so dumb. Like I just remember thinking it was like the worst. Like even compared to like other things that were similar at the time, I was like, this one seems like what's the point? Like it's just random photos, or it's just like not.
It was very limited though.
Yeah,
too,
it was
right?
very limited.
I mean, I remember when it's still like all of your posts still had like like leading it. It was like it was like Jeffrey Lange is
taking a shit. Or
right.
Yeah. At this very moment, yeah.
It was a little bit more like rigid in what it allowed.
They kept that around for quite a while, though. I think it was like 2010 or something.
That's like right around when I joined. I joined in 2009, I think. So
me too. Actually, I might have been on there before you then, 2008 or something.
Yeah. I think it was like 7. Or it would have to be 7.
I mean, I willfully resisted, and then there was a cute girl, and then you go like, okay,
you gotta get on, right? Gotta start using this now.
That works, right?
Yeah. Are we going live here?
Yep, we're live. Yeah, we're here with Jeffrey Lange.
Hi.
Welcome to Bukuro boys. Welcome to Bukuro.
Fuck yeah, the Bukuro boys. Let's do it.
Here we are.
I'm pumped about it. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Yeah, Jeffrey's from Cleveland, Ohio.
That's correct.
So you can maybe talk a little bit more about that if you want to.
You seem fascinated with Cleveland a little bit.
Just because I didn't really know too much about it, but I mean, people are probably tuning in from all over the place, so. If you want to maybe say something about...
Listen, I thought for a while, Cleveland was the greatest city on earth. And I meant it like totally unironically because you can get away with stuff there, like creatively, artistically.
Get away with petty crime, right?
Yeah, but you could get away with being really weird and like just trying some stuff. It's a little bit more low stakes because it was so cheap to live there. Everything's going up now, but it used to just be dirt cheap. You could kind of find these like little invisible spaces to try stuff out in, and no one will really notice.
Right. Yeah.
So that's for better and for worse because you can do some weird shit in Cleveland, but no one's paying attention and no one cares. I'm sort of coming to terms now with just how little Cleveland cares about the outside world. Like just so unimpressed with everything, and like they go like, because being weird, like whatever, and you kind of just that's. But it was the best, and I had some great times and did some great things, and then it just kind of I hit a tipping point, and it's getting a little rotten for me now, to be honest.
You feel like you're like outgrowing it, or is it like
outgrowing it? That might be a term for it because I'm getting bored. I feel like I've seen everything. I feel like I'm ahead of everything as it's happening, like live. I go like I know what this place is going to be like. I know who these people are going to be. Just like. This is getting a little cynical and nasty, and I'm not proud to say that by any means, but I'm burned out on it a little bit.
It just feels like you're probably outgrowing it. Like you probably sort of, I mean, you're here, right? Like how many people are gonna come out to like Tokyo or other countries or even other cities, right? So
well, they'll do it, but they'll do it for their 2 months allotted vacation time from their job, which is just like to me that's just such a crushing and brutal limitation in a year. Is like my job gives me 2 weeks, which it's worse here, right?
Yeah, it's pretty bad here, right? Yeah.
What's legally required here? 15 days?
I don't even think it's that.
Even less?
I think it's even. I'm pretty sure it's even less. Yeah. Do not get a lot of vacation time.
How big is Cleveland? How many people are there?
Great question.
No idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's
under 1 million.
I honestly have no idea. Let's consult Google Sensei there on that one. I don't know. But like, I would find comparable cities here,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure the population is staggeringly less than the comparable that I would find.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I go like Hiroshima is sort of like more of like a Cleveland maybe, but I'm sure
Okay.
the
Well, so
population
you
is
would
like,
compare it to you would compare it to the size of roughly the size of Hiroshima.
I see. I don't know if I would compare it to the size. I would compare it like relatively.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
that gives me a better idea now.
Like Tokyo's New York, right?
Yeah,
Osaka, Chicago, right?
Yeah,
Well,
sort of like
LA, Chicago. I don't know.
I say it's more like Chicago.
Would you say
probably,
Osaka?
at least,
I don't know if there's an LA parallel here.
No, it's
not
I guess
really.
not.
Yeah, Fukuoka maybe, but not really. I mean,
Like I don't think there's a Kyoto parallel in America.
No, there isn't.
Colonial Williamsburg or
Not
something.
really.
Yeah.
like
Kyoto's got too much history and America has none. So like,
yeah, no, it's interesting to think that way. I mean, I would definitely say like Tokyo fits the New York profile.
That's pretty 1-to-1.
Yeah,
you can't escape that. It's international fashion capital, like biggest cities in the world. Like that tracks.
So Cleveland is 360,000. Hiroshima is 1.2 million.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like you go like that would be my, but it's just not even 500,000, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, not even half a million.
I don't know.
Columbus was a bit over 900,000.
900,000. Okay.
Yeah. So
half of those Hiroshima people are just hikikomoring and playing video games in their rooms. So I don't know if we can count them in the total census.
half are elderly, right?
Yeah,
It's
elderly.
hikikomori.
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 Yeah.
Mm.
It just means like pulling like it literally means like the same verb for like pull things. So you're like pulling, withdrawing, sorta.
Pulling.
Like pulling
Like
out
leeching?
of
Pulling
society.
out,
Like-
pulling out of society.
Oh,
You're not-
withdrawing.
But it's a very literal verb because it's like a pulling verb.
Okay.
What's
sort
the
of.
mori though?
Well, it's from like hiki, like komoru. So it's another part of the
Okay.
Is it a portmanteau?
a little bit. Yeah, I mean it's just like a compound. Trying to think how to say compound verb. I guess compound verb.
Hikikomori.
Well, you know how you can say like tabe aruku or something like
Yeah.
eat and walk. Like you can kind of like smash the verbs
Yeah.
together.
Is that frowned upon?
Eating and walking.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you might as well be just walking with your cock out in public if you're eating a sandwich or something.
Is it worse here in like Tokyo, or is it because I feel like
Nah,
I
mean,
saw
it's
it more
yeah.
elsewhere? Like,
Nah, they definitely do it. But I mean, it's more like certain. Like if they have like an outdoor festival or something, then yeah, everyone's obviously.
but when I was here
yeah.
earlier in the year, I was in. I stumbled upon like a samurai matsuri in Akihabara, and I was like, "Oh, what's like fair food like? I got to find out what like fair food like is here." And I got some. There's like some gyoza. I was like, "All right, hell yeah!" So I get some gyoza, and I'm like, "Well, I'm at a fair. I can." Walk around and eat this, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm very quickly like coaxed into an eating area with tables.
Oh, so they called you out on
Yeah,
it.
they called me out, and I was like,
yeah,
I'm sorry, like that's fine.
Be like watch this savagery, right? Can't be
Walking
can't
and
be away
eating
with
is
that.
a great joy. Like I love to walk and eat on the go, or like I'm getting somewhere. So
Well, they definitely like if you go to a real festival, they definitely do it there. I mean, they're walking around sampling everything, man. They're like walking around with little plates and plastic, cartons and containers. Like they're definitely doing it at festivals. But
I get it in like you're crossing the street, a busy crosswalk. Train stations, platforms. So like I understand where you're in these crowds. It's a little gross. Like go over there, stand by the vending machine, right?
Yeah.
That's a safe place.
Yeah, there's like they have some interesting terms to refer to this. Like one is like meishi tero, which is like food terrorism, which it can have different meanings, right? So it's like one meaning is like if you upload constant, if your Instagram is just nothing but tasty looking food,
That's food terrorism.
you're kind of like harassing people because like they're like, oh, now I want that, right?
Okay.
But another meaning is if you're like eating a sandwich on like the train or something, because it's like other people can't really, I guess, get away from like smelling it or like maybe seeing it. So
It is rude. I get that.
yeah.
It's just if the
I mean,
I'm not saying
I don't sometimes do it.
Right.
I mean, I'm certain. Yeah. I mean, you're not supposed to technically drink anything on the trains either, But most
Everyone
people
does,
everyone
You see it a
kinda-
lot?
Everyone
Drinking,
does, yeah.
drinking I think is tolerated. I think
Drinking is-
eating is
yeah.
very taboo.
Eating is
I
way
did it
more
once,
taboo.
I
but-
snuck a calorie, mate.
Yeah,
I was like,
that's probably okay. But
Yeah.
if you got like a big greasy kebab or something,
Yeah.
then they're probably not gonna.
When I first came to Japan, the most egregious thing I did was probably fami chicken.
Okay, yeah,
on the train,
That's definitely in the Meishi Turtle range of
that was full
food
blown,
terrorism
Yeah.
of harassing your ambient.
but this is converse to the Shinkansen, where it's like you get the
Mm.
the Ekiben and crack a beer on the Shinkansen.
Well, you're
which
sitting,
is-
so
you're
it's-
sitting, You
Yeah.
have more of a
You have, like,
private.
a
you have a
table.
tray.
little
It's a treat,
and-
man. I love that.
Yeah.
Long Shinkansen ride with
Yeah.
the lunch and a beer. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a classic experience, right? Riding the Shinkansen. Yeah.
It's interestingly enough, it's more expensive than a plane. Like there's a premium for taking the Shinkansen, but I guess the appeal is just to
you
like
pay for the
smoothness.
experience, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even know if it's just that, because that is the downside. Is it's a little pricey, but it's so convenient.
Yeah.
For a train that covers those kinds of distances to be like, oh, it still runs every 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So you're not like, oh, I have to be on this train at this time or else my whole trip's fucked. It's
Right.
like you can
You kinda
make it
fit
up
it
as
in.
you go.
Yeah.
You could buy a ticket as you arrive,
Right.
get on the next one. It's great. Whereas like planes are just a hassle, man.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to get on a plane for a short distance ever. Like I think I'm going to have to later in my trip a little bit, but
I feel like, man, it is annoying, right? Because you got to pack everything up and get
The timing's so
timing is
sensitive, you can't blow
and-
it,
Yeah, you
like-
can't blow it. Yeah.
Well, it's also like the length of time or the distance to like get through security and
yeah,
the
checkpoints
check-in.
and everything. Yeah.
Meanwhile, for like Shinkansen, you basically just walk up to the platform, and if you have the ticket already, you just walk
It's
you
a-
get on the
you
train.
just get
ride.
straight in there.
breeze and
Yeah.
a pleasure to ride the Shinkansen. It really
Yeah.
is. I can't say enough good things about it. It's
Yeah.
just like, it's a little pricey.
What does America have? Amtrak? Is
I don't
is
know
it-
too much about
No?
it.
I think there's a lot of theories why. I think the auto industry just doesn't really want like a American Shinkansen or something.
Also,
'cause-
America's so big.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
what are you
yeah.
going to connect? You're never going
Yeah.
to get anything that's going to connect New York and LA in any sort of
Yeah,
reasonable way. You
Yeah,
know, it's
yeah.
huge. You can't really compare how Japan is connected
Yeah,
through
true,
rails
true.
and try and
Yeah.
apply that to America, where there's just like a cornfield dead zone for, 80% of the middle of
Yeah.
the country. So maybe something that there's always talks about it, like, oh, there's going to be a line that connects Chicago to Cleveland to New York. And,
Yeah.
you know, I honestly know very little about train travel in the States. And it's just, you're like, you drive.
I think I do think. I mean, I think the size thing is true, but I do feel like there are like cultural factors where like car culture is like so much more. I feel like public transport in the U.S. like doesn't have that same prestige or anything, right? Where it's just like, oh, you're taking like a Greyhound or something. Like, okay, but it doesn't really. It's not like something you would get, like excited about, like you would like the Shinkansen or something.
When I lived in Chicago, my best friend was the Mega Bus,
Mm.
which I think is discontinued now. But it was like, I've never actually been on a Greyhound, and I just lived on the Mega Bus for a while, getting back and forth from Chicago to Cleveland, and it was nice. It was easy. They didn't have a station. They just kind of declare a place where they would pick up, which I think was, how it was so cheap, but also kind of like maybe a little shady.
Yeah.
You create these crowds of people just at like a random spot of their choosing. You just people are waiting for a bus, and there's no station. You're just out in the cold. But
Yeah, definitely different kind of a vibe, I guess. I mean, there's a whole like U.S. like trucker culture too. There's like pit stops and like refilling stations points and everything. So
Japan kind of has that too, though, in a different way. Like, have you seen the like pimped out freight trucks here? Where they have like the Pimp My Rides like LED rims on like a
yeah, they do
Yeah,
have some
freight
of that.
truck,
Yeah,
yeah. definitely a different flavor to like compared to American trucker culture. But
that's a whole other layer I'd like to crack here on like another trip is like get an international driving license and like rent a car here and go around to some deeper spots. I heard that you can't really get around Okinawa without a car.
right.
Okinawa's
I don't know if
probably
it's
Well, I mean, Okinawa's like just split up to it's more like islands and like. You
But
might
even
have
like
to-
on the island, like
even on
on,
the island,
what's
you can't
called
really-
Nara? Is that the name?
Naha.
Naha.
well,
Yeah.
Naha is the city. Not sure if that's
Whatever
name
the
of
main island is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Naha.
Yeah, but I think like they do have some kind of train there, but I don't think he'll really get you, I know, to the beach or something, really, or the more obscure beach spots and whatnot. Yeah, it's definitely worth investing in, I think.
Yeah, that put me off from seeing Okinawa. This trip was like, if I have to drive, or I'm not planning anything on this trip. I'm just kind of making it up as I go, and just like, so if I went out somewhere where I just feel a little stranded and like I'm not getting anything done, that would be kind
Might
of
be
a
hard to
bummer.
course correct too, right? Like get back to where, yeah. You could definitely like bum around Kanto a lot more. Even like Nagoya is not really that far. I mean, you could probably do even like a day trip maybe out there or something. Certainly with Shinkansen would be like a breeze, but even just like a bus to Nagoya is not that far, right?
What would you go to Nagoya for, or what would you recommend there?
Miso katsu. No, I don't know. There is some tasty food out there.
What's it famous for other than ugly women?
Miso.
Is it famous for that?
Apparently, yeah.
Fukuoka's famous for beautiful women,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Miso katsu is kind of like red miso that they flavor a lot of dishes with there. It's really tasty. I don't know. Yeah, I have been to Nagoya, and I also don't have like super recs for it. But
Is it the fourth
I think,
largest city? Third?
if I recall right, yeah, it's definitely up there. I didn't feel like I got to the bottom of it either, or like really found what was the main key point. But I'm sure there's like some points of interest out there.
That's kind of how I felt about Fukuoka.
Fukuoka.
I
yeah.
didn't like crack the code. I didn't figure out what its personality
I would
was or
say-
what its main point was.
I would say like Fukuoka, there definitely is a code to be cracked though, and like I know like so many people that get so into Fukuoka and enjoy it like way more than Tokyo even. So I definitely think you can go deep with Fukuoka, but yeah, maybe it takes you a little while to kind of adjust or.
There's definitely like a strong anti-Tokyo contingent that I've run into as like my expat friends feel a lot of that, and then I've met some locals who are just like, fuck Tokyo, like I'm not dealing with it, it's a headache, which I understand completely as an American being like, fuck New York, you know?
Yeah we always like we have like a running thing where we always like make fun of New York on this
Good,
just
keep
like
it going.
fuck New York, and I think it was something we did. We were gonna just call it like fuck New York. We didn't.
Well, it was called New York is Whack.
There was an episode called New York is Whack, and
Yeah.
I don't think anyone really took the bait, but
But
it is just kind of a running theme where we're like not terribly impressed by.
I need to give it a better shot. I've been to New York like 3 times, but none of them felt like as an adult really like
it's just
trying it out.
Like a kid's trip or something.
I was
or
the
like,
first time was a kid's trip. Second
Mm.
time I went to go see Rage
the-
Against the Machine
Okay,
at the Rock the
yeah.
Bells festival, and
Mm.
I was in and out for the show. Stayed at a motel in Jersey, like so. I was like, okay, I was there, but I saw Rage and Cypress Hill and the Roots, and then
Okay, well that's a hell of a show.
it was a
man.
hell of
That's
a fucking show, but I didn't
yeah.
see New York.
Yeah.
And then the third time I was there working on a short film for some friends. So we just were like keeping our heads down and doing the work, you know? That's the most I saw of it, but we didn't go out or anything. We were just filming stuff.
Did you have anyone local with you any of those times?
That third time,
Third time?
the third
Yeah.
time we were like, there was a friend who was living in New York and we shot at her apartment and stayed. So I got to see like,
It's typically the way to do it, I think, right?
Get
Yeah.
someone to show you around, right?
When you don't have the
yeah.
local connection, it's pretty,
I had to get in
yeah.
like a verbal sparring match with this New Yorker because we were trying to hold a parking spot. We had we had like a SUV full of like film gear, and so to actually like do the load in to our location to film this stuff this was like a whole independent thing, but like to do our load in of gear like and find a parking spot in New York, absolute nightmare. And we found a spot and just like stood my ground and got into that's like the most New York moment I had was like yelling at this guy going like, no, he's like, you can't hold a fucking spot. And I'm like, I'm doing it. It's kind of really stressful.
That's what I remember. Like I just remember like being that's what I like when I was there as like a teenager and a kid. Like that's all I remember is just like endless driving around trying to find a parking spot.
That
and,
is
like,
what my purgatory is. My purgatory is like a parking lot with the spiral.
Yeah.
And you're just driving in the spiral
Yeah.
and it's full forever.
Yeah.
And just
That's what it would like. I remember being in the car with my dad and like that's what it would like. We would spend like 2 hours just doing stuff like that, and I was like, okay, this is a city, but not really like interacting with it. I'm just in an endless parking lot spiral trying to
I'm absolutely of the mindset that if I'm going to like live in
Yeah.
like a full urban experience, that the first thing to go is a car. Like get it out of here. I have no interest in.
Well, me and Dan kind of talked about we were kind of talking about this. Like he was just commenting that like a lot of our friends and people we know, like including myself, are like not really like car people, I guess, and
or even have licenses. Basically,
yeah,
I'm trying to get mine next year or this year. I don't.
What you're trying to get yours?
Car license, yeah.
Car license. So you have your motorcycle license.
Yeah.
But that's. See, in my mind, like you get the car license and the motorcycle is like the step up.
I just do everything backwards.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. For whatever reason, I like didn't really do it in high school when everyone else was doing it. But the time has come where it's useful to have a car license to at least I'd know.
You feel like it's useful for you here?
Well, okay. So big picture, it makes sense to have a dedicated track motorcycle that you load into a car and drive to the track. So big picture, the car license is in order to ride a motorcycle. But also like if you're going like, I don't know, either camping or like skiing, right? Anything winter related here, you need a car license, I think.
Yeah, there's like there are elements of in things like that where it does come in handy, and it's just like creates more ease for getting around. Yeah, I'm definitely, I guess, just living again here where we do. I mean, on a daily basis, it's not something I ever miss, and like I definitely don't miss thinking about like parking spaces.
When was the last time you drove?
Probably like 20 years ago, I would say. Literally probably when I was about 20 years old or so.
I resented my car when I returned home after the last trip. I just kind of stared at it with like, it's like, fuck you, I don't want to get back in you. Like,
yeah, I had too many close calls with like, car accidents and stuff too. And I mean, I was doing some pretty reckless stuff, like just, racing on the street and stuff with my friends when I was in school. But yeah, I mean, I was in a lot of accidents, car crashes and stuff. And I just got to a point where I was like, wow, I could have actually died in this, right? And here I am, I might just take the bus or something, right? Or like, I might just take the train or the Shinkansen or something, right? So, yeah, definitely not something I miss on a everyday basis, I guess, at least in central Tokyo. But
that's what growth is realizing that you can't trust yourself to put yourself in.
It's
difficult situations.
Yeah, it's a step, right? Yeah, you're like, nah, I might just give this one a miss, or might just stay away from these injectable opioids or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, you've probably grown since then, though, right? You wouldn't try and race around.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. Right? I wouldn't consciously do stupid shit. But like, I also, it's just a whole other area of hassles that I'm just not super enthused about having, I guess.
You're in Tokyo.
Yeah.
Like, forget about it.
If I was
like you said, if you want to get out somewhere, for sure. But
if I was living in Australia, I would certainly end up getting one, and probably wouldn't sweat it too much there. But yeah, in Japan, it's not a priority, I guess. Yeah. We're gonna talk a bit more about your production activities and creative activities in general. If you want to maybe just introduce them a bit, to whoever's watching.
So you work as a prop.
I've worked all over in film production, but presently I mostly jump between doing set decoration and props.
Okay.
So it's sort of like the umbrella art department of things.
I mean, just for context, like yesterday you were saying that you're mentioning a lot of quite, Schwarzenegger and was it
Fast and Furious 8?
Yeah,
sure,
you mentioned a lot of people that, quite high level celebrities you met through this, and Travolta, I think you mentioned.
Yeah,
too,
Travolta, Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis, right? So you got some. So you surely got some interesting experiences or stories out of that, maybe.
Do they have like a celebrity aura when you're like around them? Do you like feel the fame radiating off them, or what's it feel like?
I don't really get starstruck. But there's something that's kind of just part of the job is to not. There's certainly some people like that I haven't worked with that I'd imagine I would be like wildly starstruck by, like probably top of that list would be like Jackie Chan. Would like melt my brain to be in a room with him. Bill Murray, maybe, I think. Charlize Theron, that would be one where I'd probably go like, oh, damn, I don't know how to like be in the vicinity of these people.
Would you like? I feel like half these people, like honestly, like Bill Murray, like if someone was like, "Oh, Bill Murray's in the room over there," like I feel like depending on the day, but like I might not even go in there because I'm just like it's just like what would the reality? You hear so many things about Bill Murray where you're like, what is? I mean, is he gonna like throw glass in your face or something, or like is he gonna like what is? I don't know. It's just you might either. I mean, it might be cool and chill and normal, but I'd also be like, oh, like how badly do I really want to encounter?
Do you think it's like a don't meet your heroes type situation?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just like what that level of Bill Murray existence. It's like, what is he even gonna? Is he gonna be chill and normal? Like, because he doesn't have to be, right? Like, even if he, you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
yeah,
they don't
no,
they don't have to be chill and normal,
right?
Like, they could just act like huge douches and
totally
get away with it. So, I mean, like, is it really? I don't know. I mean, you'd know more about it than me, but that's just my instinctive.
I haven't worked with too many people who are just like actively awful. Like here and there, it kind of happens, but nothing that I dealt with personally. There's just some, and sometimes I'm like sympathetic to it. Honestly, like the job can suck sometimes. I don't care. Like, they're making so much money, and like their jobs are relatively. Yeah,
well, I guess that's my way of looking at it. Is like it's not that I have like anything against Bill Murray, and like I've obviously enjoyed large amounts of his films, but like I'm thinking like, what would I even? Yeah, if I was working with him in some capacity, then okay, but I don't know if I would like go out of my way to like try to meet him or anything.
Yeah, well, it's just like how am I gonna measure up in any way? What am I gonna? That's why I think I would get starstruck because I would feel compelled to say something to Bill Murray, but then I go like, there's nothing that's gonna be worthwhile, and I'm just gonna feel like trembling and infuriated. Yeah. So that would be the starstruckness of it, though. So like I don't know.
Yeah, I've had some interesting encounters where I met people that were like famous-ish to me, but like the not like the general public would. I'm talking about like writers and stuff that I've just like. Even in Tokyo, there's a few pretty well-known ones that I just happened to see out and about. And in those situations, like I didn't hesitate at all. Like I just went over and I was like, "Hey, aren't you blah blah blah?" And then started talking to him. And most of the time, we just got into a long conversation and ended up chilling for half an hour or something. But in that case, I know that it's like a niche celebrity,
right? And also a particular person of interest to you, so you have talking points.
Yeah, there's talking points where like it makes a little bit more sense. And there's musicians too, like like Momus. I don't know if you're familiar with.
No.
Yeah. So musician, writer as well. I think we mentioned him before on here, but anytime I would like see him in Tokyo or like, we'd usually just end up hanging out afterwards or like just having dinner or something. Cause it's like a level of niche fame that's not like, I don't know, Bill Murray or something.
Sure.
Right? So in those cases, like I wouldn't hesitate, but
it's people who are still like flattered to be recognized on the street, right?
Or,
where it hasn't become a complete what's the word? Impediment? Impediment to their life.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're just annoyance where you see like, people getting hassled by paparazzi and stuff.
Yeah, and you just don't want to be that person. You don't want to contribute to that.
You don't want to contribute to that. And like 5 minutes before you arrived, like someone else might have just hassled them. Like, so you don't know what mood they're going to be in. And like, are they just going to,
Yeah, I'm never the guy on set who like asks to get a picture with anybody. Like, it's generally not the move to make on set. Like that's kind of your job is to be like unimpressed and like let this go.
Just
but occasionally you see, especially like department heads will be like, this is like the guy right here. I gotta do this. Yeah. I worked with Clancy Brown on a movie, and I remember like my boss was like, I gotta get like. Everyone knows Clancy Brown, I feel like, from something a little different. Like people have different takes on him.
I'm blanking.
That's fine. He's in like Highlander was a big one, but he's also the voice of Mr. Krabs on SpongeBob SquarePants.
Okay.
And so like my boss
is this a Kurgan in Highlander?
He's the villain in the first one.
The Kurgan.
Yeah.
The Kurgan, yeah.
Huge dude. Like he's been in.
He's very distinctive looking at. Yeah, if you saw him, you'd probably recognize him.
And he's a big voice actor in
yeah.
like tons of nerd stuff. He's done a little bit of everything. But yeah, my boss was like, I gotta get Mr. Krabs to call my son and wish him a happy birthday. And so like Clancy just like gets on the phone and like does the whole Mr. Krabs voice. And like to my boss's little boy. It's like, okay, not anything I would ever ask for, but like
that's cool that he like that's so cool of him that he would like do that.
He's a very cool guy.
Because like I feel like they must just get. I mean, maybe they just look at it as part of their job, but they must get stuff like that all the time, like requests like that all the time.
Well, Travolta's like, it's just like a treasure with how he handles, like, because there was like the Travolta movie did. There's like crowds of people just waiting outside a set. They're just like these like Cincinnati moms just kind of like flocking and just like waiting for a glimpse of it. And he takes a moment to like say hi to everybody and like, you know, glad hand a little bit. And, he's a good guy.
Yeah, that's wild. Like we had a whole Travolta podcast at one point too. We were talking about his his various.
Was there anything beyond Fanatic and we're talking Battlefield Earth.
I've never seen Battlefield Earth.
Check it out.
It's worth. It seems worth checking out.
We were talking about the book too, which is another very
we were checking out the Goodreads
unreadable book. Basically.
Is it Scientology? Is the book Scientology? Oriented.
Well, isn't it? It's basically like a narrative version of.
Well, I don't think it's supposed to be explicitly Scientology based, but I mean, given that it is L. Ron Hubbard, I mean, like his ideas are so distinctively cracked out that it's going to come through in pretty much anything he does. So I'm sure you could read it as a form of Scientology or something, but it's supposed to just be a standard space sci-fi, adventure kind of old school pulp kind of book,
which I like.
Yeah, I mean, it's a horrible book. I mean, it's not like it's not. It reads like a
Edgar Rice Burroughs.
Nah, it reads like a 11-year-old on crack just wrote it. I mean, it's not like it's not something you want to sit down and subject yourself to. But I haven't even tried the movie because I mean.
The movie's fun. I mean, you can make fun of it at least.
Okay,
At least you're not like actively expending effort to
like process pages and
something that was never like edited, right? Like I don't think he ever hit backspace while
probably not
drafting that.
One solid run of a first draft, print it.
That's what Stephen. Like I feel like Stephen King is sort of. That's his method. Is just. I'm sure he took more time editing when he was earlier in his career, but I think for a lot of it, he was just flying on coke and typing at max speed, and then whatever happened, like he's just.
I mean, they're not all winners.
Yeah.
But he's prolific.
Yeah,
and if you could be prolific and get some huge winners out of it,
get some giant bricks out there.
It's a strategy, right?
It's a strategy. Yeah.
Certainly, it's like the complete opposite of any approach I've ever taken to creating anything, where I like second and like triple guess myself the whole way through and like edit over and over again and go like it's never good enough to show anybody. And
as a fellow overthinker, over criticizer, how's that working out for you?
I've like I work on stuff, but my output is slow. My ingestion's slow too. Like I'm a slow reader. Like I love to read, but I'm
actually a really slow reader too. And my friend Quentin, the writer, who's he's like even slower, and he just takes him. Yeah, I mean, so
I read like at the pace of like if I were performing it almost, like it is like a real time inner monologue of like reading it aloud, kind of is the pace of that.
Yeah,
which is slow. Some people do like I can't
speed
do that.
reading.
Yeah, I can't do that either. Like I definitely feel like people read at very different. Like there's some people where I feel like they're almost not reading; they're literally just skimming.
Yeah,
and like I get that because like I can do that if I need to, but then I don't feel like I've read something.
Yeah,
I feel like I've just.
You ever see people who you feel like skim movies, like the movie's on and they're doing something else,
they like double speed through it, or
not
something?
even some people do that. That's like fucking crazy to me. But no, like
Yeah.
it's on, but they're doing other stuff.
Yeah.
It's like
So
on
like
in
they're
the
just kind of like
background.
glancing. I
Yeah.
like that is so again. I am
Yeah.
like I am of such a singular mind. I'm like, what am I sitting down to do right now? And at all, it gets all of my attention. Like
Right.
I am watching this movie. I do nothing else. I'm trying to kind of break that a little bit.
Yeah.
Like it's okay to have like a TV show on that you don't like that much while
Yeah.
you're cooking or something like that. But that is just not my instinct.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that's one reason why, like, I do watch very few movies, because when I do watch something, like, that's the approach I take, is like I need to sit here and lock in and actually watch this.
and
Like,
sometimes
not
that's
just,
daunting.
yeah, especially just like a really long or intense movie or something, right? It's like a Tarkovsky or something. Like that's like 3 hours. You need to sit and like focus, right? You got to kind of pay attention to it and actually kind of take it seriously, I guess, rather than just see like a clip or in the
And then that
background.
creates this log of like things that like you're never gonna get to because you're daunted by them.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah,
I'm gonna watch that.
I'll
but
get to that
it's-
someday. I'll get to
but
that
it's
someday.
3.5 hours, so
Yeah,
it's gonna be a couple
yeah.
years from now when I finally do it. You know,
Yeah. There's that one movie. There's like some Hungarian movie, like Werkmeister Harmonies. I don't know, or one of these. It's like 6 hours long or something. And one of my friends told me he was watching it and he was actually getting quite sucked into it. And I was like, okay, like, I guess it's the same as watching like a mini series or something, or like
Sure.
a show, but like just one movie that's like 6 hours. Like, yeah, you probably would have to do it in 2 hour chunks or something. Like, I'm not sure I'd be able to sustain focus for like 6 straight.
I mean, if it's 6 hours
Hours.
long, that's just lazy editing and production, right? You're not respecting the audience's time, right?
Yeah,
I know.
Arguable.
What do you think?
arguable. Yeah. I think the director probably did it on purpose, but I mean, I haven't seen the film, so I can't really.
like
Yeah.
put in
Comment
some
on
breaks though.
Yeah.
At least like
Yeah.
you don't have to like say intermission, but put in a fade out where I
Yeah.
can go like, okay, I'm good. Let me hit pause here for a second.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, again, I haven't seen it, so it might be actually compelling enough to just sit there and get through it. But
Best guess. What do you think is the average person's time between bathroom breaks in a day?
it's so individual, man. Like, I think that's age dependent.
There's a lot of variables.
There's a lot of variables. Yeah.
For me personally, I would say like, I don't know, 40 minutes to an hour or something.
You go into the bathroom every
Yeah.
40 minutes to an hour.
I feel like it.
How do you
yeah.
sit through a movie?
I pause.
Do you ever go to the theater anymore?
No.
Man,
Yeah.
that kills me.
I mean, I could plan around it. I mean, if I'm at home, then I'm basically just drinking water nonstop or tea nonstop.
What about these podcasts?
Uh,
You're just
I know,
pinching
yeah.
right now.
Yeah,
You're
like, just
dying.
redlining my
Redlining your bladder.
Yeah.
I definitely don't piss that much most of the time, and like I feel like I could easily go for several hours without.
I mean,
Without
like it all
needing,
depends how much you're drinking, right?
how much
Like I
you're
feel
drinking, yeah,
like if
yeah.
I'm about to do something or doing something, I don't drink as much water accordingly, I guess.
You plan ahead.
Yeah,
You
I think so.
dehydrate.
Yeah,
Intentional
yeah.
dehydration.
Yeah.
You probably
well,
got really healthy kidneys though if you're just constantly
I hope so.
spamming water.
I hope so.
But,
Not if you're dehydrating yourself like
yeah.
that.
with water.
Well, no, if you're dehydrating yourself to like maybe I'll do
Well,
that before I go see a movie sometimes. I
Mhm.
will go like lay
yeah.
off the water.
yeah.
I mean, like lately, I start my day by drinking about, I don't know, 1.5 liters of water,
So you start like
It's
Yeah.
a lot of
first
water,
thing.
man. Yeah,
but
it's,
not like chugging it, but yeah, like over the course of, I don't know, 10 minutes or something. But yeah, I don't know. I'm
There are
probably
all kinds of thoughts on this stuff.
I
though.
should probably.
Like you're not supposed to like you should drink
Drink
that
too
much
much,
throughout
yeah.
a day, but you shouldn't drink it that fast. It's like oh, you gotta just have 3 sips here and there.
yeah. I don't know.
Someone's always gonna tell you you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, I got my blood work back like yesterday, and kidneys are fine apparently. So
This was
don't
part
know.
of like the regular physical that happens here.
I requested extra stuff because I was just
Mm.
trying to. Yeah, I never did it before actually. It was so kind of interesting to check what all the levels of everything are.
I always feel like I should be drinking more water. I mean, I do get into it when I definitely don't drink any like soda or sugary stuff, but I definitely feel like I should just drink overall more water than I currently am probably. So yeah, some days like I feel like I go to the bathroom quite a lot, and other days I feel like I barely even go, like once every 10 hours or something.
10
So,
hours.
It's crazy.
Sometimes
Yeah.
sometimes I just barely feel like going, right? And
Piss is the color of maple syrup.
I don't know, man. It doesn't seem to. It seems very variable. Like some days I'm definitely pissing up a storm, and other days like just doesn't seem like a priority or something. So
You guys don't go to movies, huh?
I
I feel
don't know
like
what
that's
I would.
like in decline, kind of, but like I go to the cinema. Like,
I don't know what I would watch, man. We were walking. We were walking with another friend a few days ago here, and we walked past the cinema in Takada no Baba where they're reviving Wong Kar Wai, like the trilogy. In like Days of Being Wild, In the Mood for Love, and 2046.
Never heard of any of these. Please continue.
Masterpieces, right? So that's something I probably would go see if I felt like I had the time because I'd enjoy seeing those on the big screen.
what kind of movies are they?
Um, well, they're like kind of like retro dramas. I want to say. I'm trying to think how
What
to.
time are they from? What year?
They're made in the '90s, but he sets them in like the early '60s, if I remember right. And then the last one is sort of more towards the present. But yeah, my Malaysian filmmaker friend Edmund Yo, like he was really influenced by Wong Kar Wai, right? So I ended up seeing like pretty much all of his films and certainly make an impression. Certainly pretty intense intense stuff. He also did Chungking Express, which I think Tarantino said was like his favorite film or something, or like up
For
there.
whatever that's worth.
Yeah, or close to it. Or so that's another one that's just a classic kind of Hong Kong cinema, kind of art cinema, I guess. Very like artistic films. I mean, I can definitely see like they wouldn't be everyone's cup of tea, but I think the big screen experience would be really good for them. But as to just things coming out now, I just always think like, what would I go see, man? Like, I'm not gonna go watch like I don't know Thor 7 or something. Like, I just like come on, like ain't nobody got time for
I
that.
see like all that shit.
I just yeah, man. I can't. For me, it's not like a use of time. I would really be motivated. I don't know. And
Yeah.
if it's similar to you or
Well, I
like
I watch quite a bit of movies, but I don't know why I would go to a cinema. I guess it just seems like I don't know.
Most people go straight towards like the big screen experience, like the big screen, the sound, and that's huge
Yeah.
too. But I also think there's something to like
But to see what, like an action movie or
sure, whatever. But
Mm.
also just the liveness of it, the presence of it, that it moves on without caring about you, and you have to be there for it.
Mm,
It demands attention in a different way.
right?
Like
Yeah, that's true.
you're more present for it, and it's like
Yeah.
it's unfolding before you. I think is a big part.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm definitely a big fan of the cinema experience, and but yeah, at the end of the day, for me, it just does come down to like, what would I actually be motivated to like?
I don't know, like
go and watch or
the
something?
next Mission Impossible movie. Those are great.
Oh, it's a hard
Those are
hard
great.
sell, man. I
Really? I love those.
I did see one maybe trying to remember a few years ago I was in a relationship with someone that was really into them and we ended up seeing the one with Superman in it.
Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
That I get that. There's those two. Christopher McQuarrie directed both of them. I get them mixed up. It's either Fallout or Rogue Nation.
I think it was Fallout.
It's a good one
Pretty sure it was Fallout.
because one of them's good and the other one's my least favorite.
It was. I was very impressed. I was like, wow, like a lot of human effort has gone into this movie. I was like, this is.
Tom Cruise
certainly
is like
put-
the real deal of just like entertainment
Yeah,
filmmaking.
I mean, it's certainly a intense expenditure of human effort. I want to say. I mean, it was very well produced and. Certainly intense, action and setup. I mean, I had no idea what was happening for long stretches of it because I mean, I hadn't seen the previous ones, and
it's
I
just sort of
wasn't
like
in-
spy drama,
Yeah.
gobbledygook
I mean,
a little
it
bit.
was a big
Twists and
gobbledygook,
turns
but
and
it was
backstabs.
certainly compelling in the sense of like, wow, they really went all out for this. Like, I could certainly feel like they'd given it their all. I would say, yeah,
He has like no pretenses really.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
a Tom Cruise like movie is always just like let's entertain. and like it's not as like strictly dumb as that, but he doesn't like for as crazy as the guy comes across, he never like gets up his own ass with like.
Certainly seems like he's taking it seriously.
He takes it seriously. He's like, I want to entertain the audience, and I want to push myself, and I want to push movie making.
I think at this point, there's no need for him to even do that, I guess. So, I mean, like, he could easily just coast on, his career and doesn't really have to.
Have you ever met him?
No. Okay. Yeah, that would be one. That would be one I'd be a little nervous
Starstruck?
around. Yeah. Just not even necessarily starstruck, but just I wouldn't want to screw up around him. I'd be like, oh, I shamed myself.
One random tangent. I heard he likes to pull up on the motorcycle, but he has an assistant who comes after the fact to turn the motorcycle around so he can like peel off as well.
Yeah.
Without like having to do like an awkward U-turn or push the bike around himself.
I believe it.
Well, he pretty much has like full-time servants, right? So I mean, you're not really /
Scientology helpers
So you bring him like a cup of water or something, and he's like, Jeffrey, you're fucking up now. You know that, don't you, Jeffrey? And then you're like, oh, fuck, I fucked it with Tom Cruise.
And I imagine
it's like that.
I imagine it playing out so similarly to how you just did that with the eye contact and the name.
That's
like
he
would know my name for the
he,
day that he needs to know it.
Yeah, that's what he like when he like. If you see him in interviews, that's what he does. And
it's kind of respectable. Like there's those interviews where he like really calls out the interviewer for being like, like kind of like a scummy TNZ like controversy hunting piece of shit, and he'll like call these guys out.
Them down.
He dresses them down, but it's like it's not like uncalled for, unwarranted. It's like honest and fair. It's just very to the point in a way that we're like not used to. We're used to so many like
I think
polite pussyfooting. Yeah, and it's just you're not getting that. You're getting the real deal, and he's not wrong. He's just being.
I think they really
direct.
I think like Scientology really struck gold with him because like.
Yeah, I think he's their best.
I know.
Creation.
I know various people that have put deep time into Scientology at various tiers of the organization. They're all left it, now. But so one of the things that always comes up, I think, with Scientology is like, well, if it worked as advertised, wouldn't we know it? Because like presumably, if we could, if it worked as advertised, then like wouldn't the world be run by Scientologists in a more obvious?
Isn't it?
Well, I think that's what they want you to think. But wouldn't it be more, if you could really actualize, the equivalent of like superhuman powers, then like wouldn't we know about it? So if they have someone like Tom Cruise, they can always be like, well, look at Tom, right? There you go, right?
I'm sold.
We got the proof, right? We got Tom Cruise, right? So I think he's kind of their gold mine in that sense, where like, as long as they can use him as like the ideal example, they can still be like, oh, well, our system is legit because Tom, right? Right. So
yeah, you're not wrong. He's kind of like the ultimate mascot in that way.
Yeah. So I think as long as he's around, they're going to have some aura of legitimacy. Whereas if they didn't, I mean, they had Travolta too, was another, but I think
you
that's
kind of get the sense that he wants out. Like he's just like,
I'm sure he does, man. I'm sure he. But
then there's other weird one. Like Will Smith is a weird one.
Will Smith is a Scientologist,
isn't he? I thought he was.
Let's check.
I think he is.
Jason Lee is one. I know, but I thought Will Smith was.
Interesting. Yeah, he might be. But certainly. I mean, I think I would say like Tom Cruise is probably basically carrying the organization at this point. Because if it wasn't for him, I mean, even Travolta, I don't know if he would be as much of a advertisement for it.
No, I mean
he's a good actor, but he's not really. He doesn't have that same.
He's a good actor, but he doesn't have that. He has a staggeringly low amount of good movies comparatively for the status that he has.
Yeah. So I think they do need to. Well, I mean, that's why they're they're basically giving him servants and his own.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah. He's got so many resources being devoted to, as they put it, like just keeping him happy, right? And making sure he doesn't, get disillusioned with the organization or something.
So apparently with Will Smith, he like was maybe getting, what's the word? Like they're a prospect, like they were trying to recruit him.
Yeah.
But it sounds like he never officially
got into it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they must play it so like if it's someone they know is like a celebrity or has the potential, like they must. Well, I mean, they literally have that celebrity center where they try, like they must, take such a different approach versus if it's just some asshole on the street that walks in and tries to join or something.
Yeah, I mean, they probably, you're either in the Tom Cruise bucket or you're in the Tom Cruise assistant bucket.
Yeah.
Upon
There's
joining,
probably not
right?
much overlap there. Yeah, interesting stuff. But yeah, Tom Cruise. I don't know if I would. Again, like it's like if the other room test, like if someone was like, "Oh, Tom Cruise is in the other room," like would I go try to meet him? Maybe, but
Yeah,
I don't know what I would say to him.
Exactly.
I wouldn't really know what. I would just be like, okay, well, there's not really much overlap here, so
yeah, I understand. that one
hi
for sure.
Tom, I guess, but I wouldn't really know.
But I would like to work on a project with him. Like not, the other room test, I probably wouldn't go into it. But like, it would be cool to
it's
work
interesting.
on that.
It's an interesting test. Like just if you, I mean, yeah, Bill Murray. Like I'd be tempted, but I'd be like, what am I gonna say? Like that he probably hasn't heard a million times, right?
Right.
But yeah, like other more obscure people, like I definitely Clancy Brown, I probably would. I would just be like, oh, the Kurgan, right? Or like, I mean, sure, he's heard that a billion times too, but I wouldn't feel too like I was getting in his face or anything if I acknowledged him. But yeah, someone more. I don't know. I mean, it is an interesting test, like who you would actually go in the other room for if you knew they were there.
David Hayter.
Who's that?
David Hayter is the voice of Solid Snake in the Metal Gear Solid games, but he is also
like the whole series,
except for 5 when he got replaced with Kiefer Sutherland. Like, and fuck that guy. But yeah, he is always the voice of Solid Snake, and he's also an accomplished screenwriter. He wrote the first 2 X-Men movies, and he wrote the Watchmen adaptation movie,
which I thought was quite good.
As far as
I thought
what the task was,
good.
Like,
I thought it was good.
It was damn good.
People didn't like it, but I thought it was, yeah.
I mean, it's certainly got its problems, but like it could have been way worse.
Yeah.
And I think the timing was just kind of wrong with it as far as when it came out. He's also a director, but he is like just in my head, like the coolest guy, number one guy I want to meet. Perfect level of fame, or like only the people who like you like would want to know him. You know what I mean? So like that's great for him.
Yeah.
And as like most voice actors in video games have no clue what they're doing, right? They got a gig, and they took the gig, and they're like, half of them don't even know what video games are. But
that must be changing though, surely, right? Because I mean, it's becoming so much more.
There's a couple guys here and there,
but
but David Hayter's like the only one in the voice cast who's like played all of the games. He knows what's going on.
Okay, wow.
Knows
so
what
he's deep into it.
He's deep into it. He loves the games. He does interviews sometimes. He does all kinds of just like fan stuff, but like he'll have like other members of the like cast come on and talk to him and stuff like that, and he'll like correct them when they're wrong about stuff because he like really knows everything about the games. Just a cool guy. My favorite series of games. I would go nuts to meet him. I would absolutely go in the other room for David Hayter.
Interesting. Yeah, I think that's a good example, right? Where someone you'd actually have something to say to them. Right?
Yeah,
like you wouldn't just be like, oh, I'm here or something, right? Like you'd actually have some ground to talk to them about.
Totally.
Get into it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm trying to think of like who I'd have something to say to other than I know I like your stuff. Thanks.
Yeah.
Cool to meet you.
Yeah. There's like
you give like sharp criticism of their work or what?
Well, that's another thing is like someone. I think that's another attack is like someone you would actually like criticize. I guess.
Ooh,
like
that's a good question.
That's a good one too, where you're like, hey, like
you
really
fucked up.
Yeah. There's that. Well, I mean, for writers, like, there's definitely a lot of writers where I probably would give them a hard time if I was in the same room with them, just because. Yeah, I mean, like, but yeah, random. Yeah, so that's another take is someone you maybe would criticize or try to challenge on something or maybe not assassinate, but
right,
like
well,
yeah.
Assassinate with words.
Assassinate with words. Yeah, worst kind, right?
Yeah, I don't know if I have that inclination.
To criticize?
Well, to criticize, I absolutely have that inclination, but to criticize,
But you wouldn't like challenge someone. Or,
yeah, I
you
don't think there's.
Yeah.
It's a good question, but was there someone I really want to go into the other room and dress down?
Dress down, yeah. I mean, I don't know if I would like dress someone down, but I would maybe, if I was in a situation with them, I maybe would challenge them a bit, or try to at least call them on a few things, or try to get into it. I mean, I wouldn't just like run up and just try to dress someone down, but
Just to do the inverse for David Hayter, fucking Kiefer Sutherland.
Kiefer Sutherland, yeah.
You dress him down.
I'd go
You
like,
dress him
dude,
down?
you are the worst Solid Snake. He wasn't Solid Snake, but I won't get into the details of the Metal Gear.
I think he's an underrated actor. I mean, I don't know. He's one of these actors where some people are like, he doesn't seem to be acting, and I'm like, well, he's sort of.
I never watched 24.
He's done some pretty diverse roles. I mean, he played he was in Dark City.
Yeah,
Where he's like the doctor,
I do like that movie.
which is like nothing like his other roles. I mean, it's totally different.
I also have heard some like behind the scenes stories about him where he's just like awful. Like,
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay,
like
yeah,
crew
yeah.
buddies who like was like next to him at a urinal and he turned and like pissed on the guy's shoes. Just to
What?
be like, you're not gonna do anything about it. Like,
What?
yeah, that kind of
Okay,
shit.
he's just like tooling random. He's
Yeah,
just tooling
like
people
absolute
randomly.
terror.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah,
What's the point of being rich and famous
yeah. If you can't just abuse it, right?
Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah, I'm not. I guess
I
I'm
don't
not-
know though. These
Yeah.
are
Allegations.
yeah,
Allegations,
hearsay,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
I don't like to
Yeah.
spread that stuff without knowing for
Yeah,
certain.
yeah,
So.
yeah. But
Well, Keith Sutherland, you're on notice.
yeah,
This is an anti-Keith Sutherland
anti Kiefer
podcast.
Sutherland podcast. Yeah,
Yeah, who knows? I'll end up working with them and it'll be fucking
Yeah,
great. And
it'll
I'll
probably
be like,
be cool.
okay,
Yeah.
I take it all back now.
yeah.
Kiefer, not Keith. My bad. I'm so
Kiefer.
bad with actor names. I can't like.
Yeah.
I see the face and I see the.
Well, you said a real name, not a made up one. So
Oh, is that made up?
no, like I don't know. Like
Pretty sure it's his real name. Right?
I'm sure it is, but
yeah.
just like Keith is like that's a
Right, yeah,
Kiefer.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
What the
Yeah. Is that like kefir, like the
Kefir.
probiotic
Kefir,
yogurt?
fuck?
Kiefer Sutherland. Is that's where his power comes from. Is yeah. That sounds like a drag queen or something. Kiefer Sutherland. It sounds like it would be a drag queen or like a stripper or something. Stripper name, drag name. Yeah.
What was your favorite project you ever worked on?
Good question. Okay, so it is called Onyx the Fortuitous and the Talisman of Souls. And it is absolutely the best job I've ever had in my life.
This is a movie.
It's a movie. When did it shoot? 2022?
Okay.
2022 is when it shot, and it's on some streaming sites now. But I don't know if you like. This is like an internet character, Onyx the Fortuitous. He was like what were some of the like? He did like these viral videos as these characters where he like.
This is a creator, or this
Yeah.
is okay,
Where he would like splice himself into like news footage. It was like Weird Satanist Guy, I think was what he was called a lot. Like Weird Satanist Guy at Arby's, or like Weird Satanist Guy at Furry Convention.
Not really ringing a bell.
But his like
yeah.
shtick was like he played like this total. Yeah, that's the movie.
Here's the poster. Just FYI.
Yeah, totally not ringing a bell. I mean, it looks
No, it's some deep internet stuff.
okay, yeah,
But
so
like
it's-
he
yeah.
played like this goofy like Satanist
It's like,
incel weeaboo type character.
He looks
would-
like Kmart's Jack Black or something.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And he'd splice himself into like these news interviews, so it kind of looked like he was like an actual
Mm,
guy
mm,
getting
mm,
interviewed,
mm,
and they
mm.
went kind of viral. And he made sort of like this. There was like this developing lore behind this character as just from these viral videos.
Mm.
And he did a crowdfunder and got like a movie made based on this character, where all that sort of lore coalesced. And it's just like a good, fun, like lots
It's like
of
a horror movie or like
horror comedy,
Okay,
like real
yeah,
like
yeah.
80s nostalgia throwback stuff, super practical effects, crazy puppet work in it, which was so cool to work with like these puppeteers. Some of them were like had worked at the Henson workshop and stuff
Oh wow,
like
wow,
that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like real awesome
like actual skills behind it.
puppeteering. But beyond all that, it was just so much fun to work on. Very rarely, like a lot of times, the really bad movies are the really fun ones to work on, and like the ones that turn out kind of good were like awful and the
It's like a
actual-
slog or whatever.
yeah. But this one was like the time of my life making it. We shot in Western Massachusetts and then finished up in LA. and I wasn't in my home base at Cleveland. I didn't know the crew, so I was like meeting a lot of new people. They're all great. Usually there's like somebody on the crew that I can't stand, but it's just like everybody on
Like the
this.
gaffer or
It
something.
was like
what is the gaffer?
the gaffer is the head of the lighting department.
Okay, I thought he was the guy that like holds the microphone or something.
That's the boom op.
Okay, yeah,
I've done
yeah.
that.
What's
I always
the
get
best
those-
boy?
The best boy is the number 2 in a department.
This is a
Okay.
childhood mystery solved.
Yeah.
finally.
So
Like,
if you're
what
a
is-
key
yeah.
is the head of a department.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
And a best is their best
Okay.
boy. That's like their
mm,
second in command. So you have like a key grip is the head of the grip department.
It's another one
That's
that's
the boy
What's
grip.
the grip department? What are they
The-
responsible for?
Now I'm gonna like embarrass myself for my definition of this somehow, but they're basically do like the rigging and support systems
Of everything,
of
sounds,
everything.
light.
Well,
okay.
it's not really like they might help out sound, but they're huge with the lighting department.
Okay.
Like they like lighting department will run power and put up like the massive lights, and
Yeah.
the grips will build like the flags that shape the light or the diffusion that
okay. So
cuts
it's,
the light.
so it basically is all the lighting department. You could broadly.
It's
define it
we
that
call
way.
them like
Yeah.
G&E together.
Mm,
Grip and
mm,
electric
mm.
is kind of like one family department, and they work under the cinematographer, who is like, I want it to look this way. He works very closely with the gaffer, who helps him get the lights that help with the shot. And yeah, the gaffer is also called the chief electrician or the chief
Okay, so
lighting
basically,
engineer.
yeah, electric. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So that puts it in perspective because you just see these terms when you're like a kid, and you're like,
Yeah.
"What the fuck is like? What do they do? Like,
Yeah.
what is
Dolly
happening?
grip.
What is
key
happening
grip.
here? Yeah, like what is going
I'm
on?"
trying to remember.
Yeah.
I've seen some funny ones where I was trying to figure out what that could possibly be, but let me see if
Yeah.
it comes to me. Yeah.
Is that where gaffer tape comes from? Like electrical
gaff tape,
Yeah,
yeah.
gaffer tape.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. Puts it in perspective, I guess. Yeah.
I guess flip side of that question, what's the worst project you ever worked on? Production nightmare
What is the worst one?
or a bad one?
Yeah, I mean, there was like I don't actually know if it was Lifetime. It was like this like wedding romance movie.
Okay.
And it was just, I was in the sound department on that, and we had like just this like cast of women who were like in like bridesmaid outfits and stuff, like hair done up. So like total diva mentality the whole time, or like all the time in the day was sunk into like getting their hair and makeup and costumes right. And then when it came time for like sound to mic them and stuff, it was like we were afforded nothing because like, you know, the women are all like, they're the actors. They're like, no, take all the time on making me look right. They don't give a shit about anything that happens afterwards. So it's just like, it was very stressful, very hard on me on that job for sure. I did watch that one. It was exactly what you'd expect it to be.
What was it called? If you don't.
I'm actually blanking right now. So,
Yeah. I think we're probably at a safe level of obscurity here.
Yeah, I think you're fine. No, it was
one's
called With This Ring is what
With
it was.
this. Okay, yeah. With
Ring.
this ring.
It was a
okay.
movie?
It was a
or-
movie. It was on Lifetime or
Okay.
Hallmark, or maybe it was on BET. I can't remember.
So what? That's like straight to TV.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
a TV movie.
Yeah.
Or maybe they got some streaming bit
So-
or something like that. But there was also a commercial I did. Oh, there was a commercial I did where it was the worst job ever because I couldn't have. I was pretty new. And I just blew it so bad on this job, like over and over again. So I just like really kept. It was a Nike commercial. It was when LeBron James came back to Cleveland, and they were like, "Oh, we gotta do this whole big Nike thing with LeBron James now in Cleveland because he's back with the Cavs." Very important stuff for Cleveland. I didn't care. I don't care about sports at all. And when LeBron James came back, I was like, everyone was freaking out. I was like, I don't care at all. But I was so new to film, and they're like, you don't get it. This guy brings jobs that pay crazy well. And I was like, okay, maybe I am interested now. And yeah, I have done a lot of LeBron James commercials and stuff, and they were good gigs, except this one Nike one is just like brutal. I fucked up so much on this job. It was like, I didn't have a smartphone yet.
Okay, so this is going back a bit.
This is going back a bit.
ways,
but also like, I should have had one by now. This was like 2013, 2014. I still had like a chocolate, which is like really dated then, you know.
HTC
And
or what?
It's like it was like the phone that like slid up, and
Okay.
then,
like the flip phone, right? Like just a basic,
but I had like I was in the casting department on this, and we were doing what they call real people casting, which means they're not actors. And you don't have to pay them what you have to pay actors. and we were like scouting all around like Cleveland to get like these real people to be in this like commercial that showed like the community responding to LeBron coming back or whatever the hell it was. So we were like going all around to all these different locations to get different like just Cleveland locals on tape, so we can show them to the director and he can pick from a pool of people. It's just kind of like that, like we want a wrinkled blue collar face like smiling in black and white, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
There's sparks in the background at a foundry while this hard leathered worker,
like a steel mill or something.
Yeah. We were at
super...
train yards, we were in steel yard, we were just like getting out into the ghetto a little bit, just trying to find like the real Cleveland,
like local color kind of stuff, right? Yeah.
But we're going to so many different locations and keeping the schedule. And I don't have a smartphone, like I don't have a GPS. So I'm like so dumb how I went into this, but I was like trying to like look at the schedule the night before and like print out like MapQuest directions and hide them. But I just like couldn't fucking keep up, and just I got a speeding ticket while driving my boss around. Like I just fucked up so
Everything
much.
was just going wrong.
Everything was going wrong. I left I had to jump into a different car before I got back to my car. And when I got back to my car, I didn't have my keys with me anymore. Like it was just like everything going wrong possible.
Sounds like it was a chaotic time in your life or something. Like, did it have anything to do with the production itself, or was it just like
it was that the production was crazy, but I was just so new and I wasn't. I needed to step my game up, and I like got a smartphone like the day after that job was done. I was like, okay, like I could have, I could have fixed everything if I just like looked this up, and and I was so like stressed out that I'm just like forgetting stupid things like my keys. But this so the director on this, I got no problems telling this story. The director on this was Sam Bayer, and he directed the "Smells Like Teen Spirit" music video.
Oh shit! Okay,
it's like this guy's a fucking maniac. I got no problem saying that Sam Bayer is a nightmare and a fucking maniac. So I had like a couple bosses on this job. I had like the local Cleveland casting director who was one of like my mentors, and she brought me into the world of filmmaking, and I owe her so much. And then there was like the LA casting director who I was driving around and fucking everything up with and just like embarrassing myself in front of. But then my like mentor, and she's great, got nothing but amazing things to say about her. She's like, we're doing the actual casting call for this commercial. We just have like all these people that we had like put on tape, the ones that they wanted to see again for the callbacks. Massive line at this hotel in Cleveland, and this director like walks past this line of people, and he kind of like he says some shit. He swears a bunch, and my boss is like, hey, we got kids in the line here, could you like watch your mouth a little bit? And then like behind closed doors, he fucking chokes her.
What?
And goes like, you don't fucking talk to me like that.
Okay,
What? And like she storms out, and like she's all, I'm like, what's going on? We end up fucking packing up all our gear and quitting the job and walking out of it together. And like with this massive line of people, we pack up our equipment to shoot their auditions and haul it out of there and go like, fuck you, like it's not okay.
Okay, so just like
we just assaulted her, and we quit the fucking job and packed our shit up and let them figure it out. That was the worst job I've ever done, for sure. That was bad. That was bad.
Yeah.
It does get crazy. There's awful egos and people who think they can get away with shit, and it's
Yeah, I mean, there must be. I was just gonna say that, like, there must be such a, like, especially with directors, like, such a like huge ego component where they're like trying to, I don't know, individualize things or like make it their own, control kind of thing or something. Where it does sound pretty rough. I mean,
there was a director who this is on the Schwarzenegger movie I did, and I did fuck up. I was in the sound department on this one again, and there was something like, it was like we went on a lunch break, and I like got sent a video that I looked at on my phone, and I turned the sound on my phone to watch this video that my friend had sent me on my lunch break, and then went back to set. And I hadn't turned the sound off on my phone yet. Like I turned it back on just to watch this fucking video, and I forgot to turn it off again. And we're doing this like big dramatic scene, and it didn't really look like I needed to be in the room. Like I could have been farther away, but I was doing something. I was helping actually like spot for my boom op buddy. Like, so It's a whole thing, but I was like, he couldn't see if he was going to be dipping into the frame or not. So I was on the set, like huddling over a monitor so I could like signal him if he was getting close to dipping in. But nobody else knows what I'm doing there. It looks like I'm just a fucking looky-loo, like real close to this scene when I don't need to be. And I get a fucking text in the middle, like I'm right there during this dramatic scene, and like loud noise, and I'm in the sound department. It's like the cardinal sin I could commit. Everyone,
what was your ringtone?
I don't know. It's just like some just
It's like
just
Holler Back Girl or something.
It wasn't a song or anything like that. I've never done that, but some chime, and it was just like, oh fuck. And I fess up to it afterwards, like sorry, that was me. I don't try and I'll own up to my mistakes. But the director comes up to me and goes, "Do you want me to rape you in front of everybody here? Because you just raped my fucking shot." And I was like, and I kind of like, I laughed. I had like that reaction. I like kind of laughed a little bit. And like at like the corner of his mouth, like
he was like about ready to just like literally flip out.
No, he kind of laughs.
Oh, he kind of
like he's like, yeah, I know I'm being fucking ridiculous, right? And we had this like weird understanding.
But was he actually like really angry? Was he like kind of just putting it on, or was he like not?
I think he was mad, but he was. I think he more felt like he needed to like
show that he was in charge,
right? And so like when I kind of laughed, he kind of like twinkled about it a little bit, and I was like, okay, like, well, you're kind of full of it too, and we know like you need to do this. I am sorry, you did dress me down, but like we're just having fun here, right? It's okay. But apparently, he told somebody else the same thing. So that was his whole thing, was like threatening to rape people with the follow up of in front of everybody. It was like, okay, because my buddy got that too. He like physically was in a shot at one point.
Okay,
he heard the same thing. Yeah.
Wow, it's wild. Yeah, I was wondering if he was like, full serious or what, if he was just trying to do it for effect or something.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of a performance to
possibly just the effect,
So maybe wrap this one up.
Probably wrap this up for the moment. Mike,
we'll continue, I think.
Okay. Continue. Yeah.
But anything you want to plug? You have a Patreon, right?
Yeah, my main thing right now that I'm doing is I got a Patreon that's completely free. It's called Zero Issues Lange.
One word?
Yeah, it's just one word. Add Zero Issues Lange, and I just do writing there.
Lange, right?
Lange, yeah.
Okay, Zero Issues Lange on Patreon.
Yeah, well, maybe discuss that a little bit more if we continue on here.
And what do you do there?
I write mostly about my media intake, which comes down to movies and books and video games. And I write about them as they intersect with my life. It's like specifically not review stuff. It gets a little analysis stuff, but it's more about like my emotional response and where it kind of finds me in my life. So it's like half journal, half like,
interesting.
Like, here's this movie and here's what I was doing when I saw it. And sometimes I don't talk about the movie at all. I talk about the girl that was sitting next to me in the movie or something like that. So Zero Issues Lange, it's totally free.
Sweet.
Check it out.
Check it out. Yeah.
Check it out.
Justin?
Justin Isis 1 on X and Justin Isis 93 on Instagram.
And DBLV on Instagram. Yeah. Thanks, Jeffrey. We'll continue.
Probably continue.
And we're doing a few pre-records here just in time for holiday season, basically trying to add some buffer.
Happy to give you guys some days off in the coming weeks.
Yeah, we'll try to get a few in the pipeline here.
Yeah.
So,
but thanks everyone. Have a good week. Catch you next time.
Peace.
Peace.